Radio is broadcast on LSL Podcast Channel. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel.
Let not your heart be troubled. You are listening to the Sean Hannity Radio Show podcast. All right, so I have insomnia, but I've never slept better. And what's changed? Just a pillow. It's had such a positive impact on my life. And, of course, I'm talking about My Pillow. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep longer, and now you can, too. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Use the promo code Hannity, and Mike Lindell, the inventor of My Pillow, has the special 4-pack. Now, you get 40% off 2 My Pillow Premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Now, My Pillow is made here in the USA, has a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com right now or call 800-919-6090, promo code Hannity, to get Mike Lindell's special 4-pack offer. You get 2 My Pillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for 40% off. And that means once those pillows arrive, you start getting the kind of peaceful and restful and comfortable and deep healing and recuperative sleep that you've been craving and you certainly deserve. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity. You will love this pillow. All right, glad you're with us. Happy Friday. Write down our toll-free telephone number. It's 800-941-SEAN. If you want to be a part of this extravaganza, I want to start the week with a big thank you to everybody. I don't want to get too inside baseball, but there are times, and I actually think this fits into the whole issue of the anthem and the flag and what's going on in the NFL and taking a knee and locking arms and, you know, it's like they don't understand their customers in the NFL anymore. And if the left, which never loved football in any way, shape, manner, or form, now they're embracing it so warmly because they think it advances their cause, which is, you know, that America is a horrible, evil, unjust place. America is not perfect. Nobody's going to say America is perfect. And I think I've quoted every day this week, and I'll do it again because it's worth doing, Barry Farber. No country in the history of man has accumulated more power and abused it less than this country. No country has accumulated more power and used it to advance the human condition and stand up against evil and goodness than the United States. None of us are perfect. I don't know where this notion, like liberals always take glee if there's a conservative that has some failing, you know, of some kind. If a conservative gets mad, if a conservative vapes, if a conservative drinks a beer, you know, it's like they're happy. Or if a prominent minister is caught in some type of sexual affair or whatever it happens, it's like they're happy. I don't know any perfect people. I start with myself. I mean, I know every truth about myself, every single failure that I have. And probably in life, nobody's harder on myself than me. But anyway, I wanted to start out because, and I didn't bring this really a lot to your attention. At the start of the week when we were moving on Fox to my new time slot, which was my old time slot, and bringing to my new time slot again, but there were people in the media so ready for me to fail. They had, the stories were pre-written. They wanted the show, my show, like they've always wanted, to fail. You know, and because of all of your support, it's been a massive successful week. And I just want to say thank you. Because I'm humbled by it. I'm appreciative to it. I appreciate all the people that came on last night. But anyway, I told you Rush was in the zone. He was amazing last night. And behind the scenes, we just had a really, really good time. And, oh, I didn't tell you this. Rush gave me an iPhone 8. He just goes, here, you want one? I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't have to wait online for 400 hours, although apparently there's no lines for the iPhone 8 yet. And I don't really want the face recognition one. What is it? Is it X or 10? I don't know what they're calling it. X? 10? Oh, okay. And we have part 2 tonight, and it's not just like 5 seconds. We have 2 long segments that we didn't get to last night. And he doesn't do TV a whole lot. And there's a couple of questions in tonight's interview that I think you're really going to like. And I think we teased it at the end of the show last night. Yeah, Rush, I don't think you're really going to like this question. And I'm not going to tell you what the answer is because I want you to watch it yourself. I think you'll enjoy it. It's not anything that we're not trying to force people. We can't force people. There's been more attempts again to boycott this show, to silence my voice, to get me off the air. We see it happening to anybody that dares to support this president, believe in what the president's trying to do. And I have no complaints. I'm not complaining in any way. That goes with the territory. That's what I signed up for. If you're in the public eye and you give strong opinions, I know there are going to be people that take issue with what you say, how you say it. But I never thought we'd get to a point in America where they'd build an entire industry at trying to take down voices of dissent and voices you disagree with, especially when there's so many choices that people have in their daily lives in terms of what they listen to and what they watch. I can't force you to listen. Now, if I could, I would. I would glue you to your chair, 3 to 6 Eastern, 12 to 3 on the West Coast, and I'd say, you must listen. I'm on at 9 o'clock tonight. You can't budge till 10. And if you're out, find a TV. I can't. The best thing I can do is build it, a show that I think I'm going to be proud of. And we did it. And but I'm just saying it's look, I've been at this. Next week I will start my 23rd year on the Fox News Channel. And I can't believe that it's 23 years. I started this program, I think it's 87. I think it's the 30th year. 87, when I first got behind a radio microphone. And it's been an unbelievable journey for me that I never thought I'd be successful at. I just loved it. That's all I knew about it, is I loved it. And I live it, and I sleep it, and I dream it. And it was something that was a fascination for me as a kid. I'd put on the radio, and I'd listen to all these great pioneers. And I talked about it earlier in the week. So I just wanted to say thank you. And we have part 2 of Rush tonight. We have, I told you before this week even started, we have a lot of surprises. Wait till you hear what we're doing next week. Oh, we got big surprises next week. Really big surprises. Like big surprises. I know, but I said it and I delivered, right? I didn't tell anybody. We didn't even announce anything. So I know our competitors hate me, and I know the liberal media critics hate me. Somebody told me that there's been some guy stalking me from the Washington Post, going back all 30 years of my radio career. And somebody at Fox PR goes, well, they want you to answer questions about when you started in your 20s. I'm like, I don't even remember my 20s. I mean, I'm 55 years old, really? And anybody that starts, are we going to show Matt Lauer's first broadcast? Are we going to show, right, in some local market? So there is a double standard, and this is what the president's gone through, his family has gone through, those that like and support him have gone through. Some of you have lived through it. Some of you have lost friends because of your political views. Some people just don't want to even open their minds that we can do some amazing things. I thought one of the best things Rush said yesterday is that the Republicans in 3 months, if they would just get a spine and a backbone and stick to the principles, the party principles, stick to the platform principles, stick to the promises that they made. I mean, if you look at what this economic plan is, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that today, I mean, it's a plan that is really in so many ways rooted in what Kennedy did when he was president, what Reagan did when he was president, certainly what Obama did. I won't give you all the statistics. You probably know them by heart now because I've given them out more than anybody. What he didn't work. Socialism doesn't work. And growing the economy does work. And if we can really focus on those people that need jobs and opportunities and want to get off the government handouts, so we're going to have a better country. If we're energy independent, we have a better country. If we don't have open borders with people competing for the few jobs that are available, we're going to get Americans back to work. There's so many great, good things that we can do that would make us successful. And for the Republicans, it would be literally, for them, it'd be the best thing that they could ever do. Because it's good for them politically. All they want is power, but they're afraid to do the things that would be successful that would keep them in power. Anyway, so we're going to get to that. One lie I want to deal with at the beginning of the show by the fake news media is that, well, the president who did so well with Hurricane Harvey, I'm sure you read that somewhere, and I'm sure you heard it on all your newscasts, and the president that did so well with Hurricane Irma, and, somehow the president forgot about Hurricane Maria and what's happening in Puerto Rico. It's just not true. And I made a number of calls today from my contacts, and I found out that what the media is trying to do. They're actually now trying to paint the president and push a narrative that he's treating Puerto Rico poorly. Where did I find out the truth? They want to turn this into Hurricane Katrina. The reason they can't is because it's not accurate. You know, I'm seeing all these reports, the administration dragging their feet, trying to get help to the island. It's a lie. And critics complaining that the president hasn't gotten the military involved. Another lie. You know, and when you need a power grid and you hit with a 200 mile per hour Category 5 hurricane, a direct hit on the island, and you lose your power grid, you're not going to be able to get it up in a week, you know, unless you're God and you can snap your fingers and up goes the power grid. It's going to take a long time to get this worked out. And CNN and NBC, these fake news networks, are out there doing the same garbage they always do. I've never seen these people ever talk about solutions that are going to impact people's lives. They never talk about the failures of what was Obama's economics. They never talk about the debt, the 13 million more on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty. That's why I keep repeating it, because they're not going to do it. And I've always pledged that we're going to do the job that they don't do every day. And by the way, it's a lot of work because there's so much that they're missing and so much they don't care about. All they care, Russia. I can't take it anymore. Anyway, Stars and Stripes reported there's thousands of U.S. troops in Puerto Rico on the ground, and they've been there for days. And all of the food and water and medicines and supplies and baby formula, they were all pre-positioned, just like they were for Texas and Florida. And the Pentagon, anyway, they deployed a battle-tested general to coordinate the military response. There are 4,400 troops that have been out there fanning across the entire U.S. territory. They've been delivering life-sustaining supplies. One problem they did run into, they don't have enough truck drivers for all the supplies they have. That's been a problem, which, by the way, they're now fixing because the military is coming in with all of the means to get the supplies to the people that are in desperate need there. But Army Lieutenant General Jeffrey S. Buchanan, he's taking command of the ongoing military portion of the rescue and relief operations. 35-year infantry officer, led troops through 4 tours in Iraq, and more recently served as a senior commander in Afghanistan. He's the guy that's leading the 4,400 troops that are on the ground in Puerto Rico. And the 3-star general's deployment comes after the Army sent their Brigadier General, Richard Kim, to Puerto Rico to lead land-based forces as the operation shifted from primarily a Navy ship-based response, which is when they brought in the supplies for the disaster. And then Buchanan's presence is adding efficiency to coordinating all the military operations. And officials are saying the situation in Puerto Rico's slowly improving because of the devastation that we're talking about here. And the military is literally the military. They're clearing roads and airfields and seaports. So all the pre-positioned supplies have made it to their borders, especially water and food and fuel. And anyway, and at the time, supplies had been delivered to each of the island's 78 municipalities. So it's just a lie. And the Pentagon sending 2,000 more troops into Puerto Rico. By the way, the same troops that fight, bleed, and die, that give us our freedoms, that we honor when we play the anthem. Those troops, those guys. It's like a slap in the face to our military. Everybody's so, maybe the NFL guy should take a Sunday off and go to Puerto Rico and serve side by side with our military men and women. I'm all for protest, but I'm also for protest in a different way. Not during the point where we're honoring the military that give us our freedoms. All right, as we roll along, I just want a simple, basic, fundamental truth, and it goes to the heart of, look at these military guys. They didn't train for hurricane relief efforts, but you know what they do? They serve. You know what they do? They salute, say, yes, sir, and they go where they're needed. And when the president does the right thing and our military steps up the way they've stepped up. Now, by the way, living conditions in Puerto Rico are horrible, and it's devastation. And we had Reverend Graham on from Samaritan's Purse. I urge you, if you can donate. It's, whatever, if $10, whatever you can do, it's going to go a long way to help. They're going to need our help. The government's going to step up. There's all the aid package that is going to Houston and Florida will also similarly be going to Puerto Rico. And I think it's just the right thing to do. Everybody agrees on that. But let's just tell the truth about it. And I just, there's something so radically wrong in the news media. They're more angry that Donald Trump calls Kim Jong-un Rocket Man than they are over the 2-bit dictator who broke a commitment to the United States when Bill Clinton tried to bribe him and his father. And is firing missiles over Japan. They're more mad at the president. The media is more, they're more angry that the president, and the president is saying we should honor, respect our military, our anthem, and our flag, and that there's a time and a place for everything. And he's calling out, this is a very big, key cultural issue. And we had gotten into the discussion many times this week with O'Reilly, with Rush, with everybody. At the end of the day, you take down the memorials, you demonize every framer, every founder. You don't look at America's goodness. You don't look at the system that they created that corrects wrongs, evils, and injustices. And fundamentally, what do you have as a country? What do we have left here? We don't have anywhere we can unite at all. People are bleeding and dying for our ability to live the free, wonderful lives we live. It's like spitting in their face. It's a slap in the face to the military. You have grievances? You can come on my shows. Just anybody in the NFL wants to come on, Linda, put them on anytime they want. All right, as we roll along, Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of this extravaganza. We're going to get to some calls here. NFL ticket sales plummeting. There is Washington Examiner reporting ticket sales have cratered since the president called on team owners to fire the players who take a knee to protest the national anthem. Everyone's like, oh, those sons of bitches. I'm like, I don't think people are looking or understanding what the president's saying here. And the media, of course, they just go to their quick, cheap, talking point narrative. Oh, that this is some type of dog whistle. You know how many times Chris Matthews during the Obama years said dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle? The president never mentioned race. It's not about race. How about this? Let me throw this out at you. There's something about life, and I suspect this is spiritual as well. Every once in a while in life, you got to slow down and you got to think, man, I'm really blessed. I live in the greatest country God gave man. I've got, my kids are healthy. My family's healthy. I tell my kids all the time, this, the one thing that they don't get, they start whining. I can't stand whining. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let's go over all the stuff that you do have in your life. Let's talk about that. And then I'll run through the list. And I'll start, and then slowly but surely, it's such a good point, they can't really say anything. Well, you got this, I gave you that, you have that, you want this, you want to be here, you want to be there, you want to be everywhere. And then Dad says you can't have one thing, and it's like a meltdown, which is, by the way, it's just normal. That's what kids do. I know I was like that. And I was the worst. I'd be in the store. My father used to say I had a case of the gimmies. Give me this one, Dad. No, give me this one. Gimme. He used to always say to me. I'm like, come on. And in my case of my kids, I'll say, please, Dad, please, Dad, please, Dad, please, Dad. You getting that yet from Liam? No, not yet. It's coming. I'll wait till you take them to, Toys R Us one day. It's just don't ever take your kids to Toys R Us. It's don't let them be Toys R Us kids. Just go there on your own and pick out the toys for them, because they're going to want please, Mom, please, Mom. And by the time you just don't even want to hear the word please anymore. Can't you just be impolite? But it's natural. But when we all stop and we all think, just stop for a second and you think, how many people have died fighting for this country? What did they fight for? What are they fighting for? How do you benefit from their sacrifice? Now, at the top of the hour, we're going to talk to Billy Vaughn. And Billy lost his son, Aaron. And Aaron, by the way, was the true story of his own son. He was part of Extortion 17. And Aaron was one of 30 American servicemen who died on board a helicopter, call sign Extortion 17, when it was shot down in Afghanistan. That happened August 6, 2011. You know, in many ways, maybe you won't agree with this or not, it's almost like spitting. Imagine you go up to see a soldier. That happened to soldiers after Vietnam. Just spitting on them, calling them baby killers. Look at what John Kerry did. Genghis Khan, they tortured them, and, putting wires to their testicles.
They told the stories of times that they had personally raped, cut off ears, cut off heads, taped wires from portable telephones to human genitals and turned up the power, cut off limbs, blown up bodies, randomly shot at civilians, razed villages in fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan, shot cattle and dogs for fun, poisoned food stocks, and generally ravaged the countryside of South Vietnam.
Here's my take. When you really if you're going to appreciate things in life, everything starts, God gave you this opportunity to live life. And if you're healthy and you have your health, how blessed are you? If you have a family and they're healthy, how blessed are you? If you wake up and maybe things, it's not the best day, but the sun is shining and you can look out at a beautiful picture of a wave of somewhere and you're on a beach and you see the little sparkles of the sun and the diamonds bouncing off the water. Everyone wants to buy diamonds. You can watch all the diamonds for free if you just go to the ocean. You never watch it. Looks like little diamonds sparkling off the water. It's beautiful. Or let's see, just relax in there. Just calm down. I'm not going zen on you. Relax. It's appreciating the gifts. And the military has sacrificed so that we don't have to live our lives getting up every day and being scared beatless every day. We don't have to worry every day when we walk down the street. Now, we have worries. Things happen. But for the most part, it doesn't. And you know what? You can thank God and you can thank a soldier because they're the ones that gave it to us. And if you want to know why people aren't buying tickets and ticket sales are plummeting and ratings are plummeting, and if you want to know why fans are disgusted by it, I think it fundamentally goes to the heart and soul of the goodness of people in this country that instinctively know people died for the right for these guys to play football on Sunday. And they're making $2.4 million a year on average to play a sport. Now, we love their talent. We love their ability. Football is a game of inches. I think one of the most amazing football catches is over the shoulder. 50 yards. It's exciting. It's fun. It's hardcore. You're banging up on each other. And then one side's going to win, one side's going to lose. You're excited when your team wins. You're kind of pissed off when they lose. At least I am. So I get. I'm not competitive at all, though. I have no competitive leanings in me at all. But none of that happens except those guys sacrifice for us. And you know what? They fought under that flag. And you know what? They stand at attention for that anthem. And that's why we're where we are. The NFL has one way out of this. Knock it off. Now, the Denver Broncos announced kneeling players are going to stand for the national anthem this week. Colin Kaepernick donated thousands of dollars to a group honoring convicted cop killer. Isn't that nice of him? Colin Kaepernick Foundation, $25,000. Assata's daughter, a Chicago direct action resistance organization, honoring Assata Shakur, who escaped prison, fled to Cuba after being found guilty of the murder of Officer Werner Forrester. That's what Colin Kaepernick, the guy that has socks with cops depicted as pigs. You got the Spurs coach, Greg Popovich. We got the audio of him. Play this.
I just heard a comment this morning from a NASCAR owner and from Mr. Petty that just blew me away. Just blew me away. Where the owner described the fact that he would get the Greyhound bus tickets for anybody to leave and they'd be fired. And Mr. Petty, who said people who act the way we saw on Sunday, they should leave the country. That's where I live. I had no idea that I lived in a country where people would actually say that sort of thing. I'm not totally naive, but I think these people have been enabled by an example that we've all been given. And you've seen it in Charlottesville and on and on and on. That's not a surprise. Get over it. What do we do to get it done? To go to the grassroots and not allow this to happen again. Our country's an embarrassment in the world. This is an individual actually thought that when people held arms during the games that they were doing it to honor the flag. That's delusional. There has to be an uncomfortable element in the discourse for anything to change. Whether it's the LGBT movement or, women's suffrage, race, it doesn't matter. People have to be made to feel uncomfortable, and especially white people, because we're comfortable. We still have no clue of what being born white means.
All right, so is it going to now move to the NBA? Already moved. I know one catcher on one team in MLB took a knee. The catcher, what team was that from, Jason? The Oakland A's, right? Are they making it to the playoffs this year? No. Oh. There's no constitutional right. I read you the rules from you can't twerk, you can't do a bow and arrow, you can't curse at other players, you can't taunt, you can't do this, you can't. All preventions of freedom of speech for people. By the way, Donald Trump just announced he's going to decide Tom Price's fate. I understand people's anger over money issues, and when it comes to private planes, that every one of those trips he took was approved, apparently. And yeah, I do think that there is, probably too many trips taken by people. And I see the New York Times is out to destroy Tom Price. I think a lot of it has to do with health care. They said, in addition to a website about Mr. Price, the group plans to begin an aggressive media campaign designed to make people question Mr. Price's statements and actions. We got a group protesting everybody today. I'm trying to get everybody fired. Well, we could look at Kathleen Sebelius. She was the Secretary of Health and Human Services for Obama from 2009 to 2014. And on September 26, 2017, she told the Roundtable that Tom Price's repeated use of chartered jets was stunning. Really? Okay. Well, Secretary Anthony Fox, who served as Secretary of Transportation under Obama in 3.5 years, he took over 130 charter flights while Secretary. And then Secretary Sylvia Burwell, Health and Human Services, 2014 to 16, well, she booked a military aircraft to Berlin, Germany, at a G7 health conference. She was on the ground for 24 hours. Total cost to you, $101,000. Eric Holder and FBI Director Mueller from 2007 to 2011. The AG and FBI Director accounted for 95% of the DOJ's non-mission related flights using government aircraft, $11.4 million. 24% of those flights were for personal reasons. Anyone going to pay attention to that? Anyone remember that Leon Panetta, Defense Secretary, flew out to California, I think, every week? Does anyone care to comment on any of that? I just think there's a little bit of a double standard here. Whatever it is, they should have a policy and stick to it. Now, John Boehner, who I never particularly liked, he used to fly commercial. Paul Ryan continued that pledge. Nancy Pelosi, on the other hand, was taking a, private jet home to San Francisco whenever she needed it. Leon Panetta, if you look at his military travel, it was amazing. The bulk of the reporting of his travel in 2012, he had made about 27 round trip trips to California on military aircraft. Nobody seemed to care a whole heck of a lot about that. One of the things that we got to really think about, and we've been talking about it, is the Republican parties, and I love what Rush was saying last night because I view this as a challenge. I'm going to go. I have something I want to say on this tonight too on Hannity, and I want the tax cuts. Why do I want them for the corporations and multinationals and repatriation? Because they're going to invest it. Let me ask all of you, do you put your money in a bank account? Is that where you put your money? Now, you put some money to live day to day and month to month, and you pay your bills and all that sort of thing. Let me tell you, if you're putting your money in a bank, it's not a really good investment. I'm not going to tell you how to invest your money, but there are better ways to make a better return on your dollar. Now, there's a certain irony that, there are some people and congressmen and women in big states like New York. We're in New York. We pay a 10% state income tax. You pay 40% nationally, 10% on the state level. What do you pay in New York? Is it 3 or 4%? I think it's 3, right? 3. All right, so you start out, that's 40, 50, 3%. And you pay your property taxes, then you pay your sales taxes, then you pay all your hidden taxes, and it's 60 cents out of every dollar. So the states that charge now, you're not going to be able to deduct. In California, it's 13.5% state income tax. And that's on top of the 40% you're paying federally. So now you might end up with the lower rate of 39.6 to 35%. But if you live in California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, you're going to pay more. You know why? Because you've elected stupid people that misappropriate your dollars. How is it Florida, not a penny in state income tax? Texas, not a penny. And states that do have it, it's tiny, it's small, it's insignificant. The property taxes in Florida, everything's less in Florida and Texas. And why do you think people are leaving New York, New Jersey, Illinois in droves, and California in droves? Because government is oppressive. Now, is that taxing the rich? Well, no, I actually think you can say more accurately, you're taxing people that live in stupid states and elect stupid people. Hannity, you're talking about your own state. Yeah, Albany's a sewer. It's just unbelievable. There's not enough money. And we have all this fracking. Pennsylvania loves how stupid New York is because they're basically getting all the natural gas straight out of New York, and they're just sucking it right into Pennsylvania's economy. Good for them. Good for them. I'm proud of them. They're smarter than we are in New York, and if I could, we'd be in Florida. All right, we got a powerful debate coming up next. Reverend Oliver White, Reverend C.L. Bryant, and also Billy Vaughn. He lost his son, Aaron Vaughn. How do the military really feel about it? Oh, my gosh. Why are you making fun of the Drudge Report? Why are you saying, look at the Drudge Report?
Another good picture of you. I tell you, I don't know what to do anymore.
Oh, my gosh.
Every time you turn around, there's a picture of Sean Hannity dominating Rachel Maddow on Drudge Report.
All right, really? You guys have to start. Here we go. Again.
I think the NFL is in a box. I think they're in a really bad box. You look at what's happening with their ratings. You look at what's going. Frankly, the only thing that's doing well in the NFL is the pregame because everybody wants to see what's going on. You cannot have people disrespecting our national anthem, our flag, our country, and that's what they're doing. And in my opinion, the NFL has to change. Or you know what's going to happen? Their business is going to go to hell. We have to respect our national anthem. We have to respect our country. And they're not respecting our country. And most importantly, the fans agree with me. Largely the fans agree. But we have to show total respect for our national anthem, for our flag, for our country. We have to do it. And there are plenty of places, and there are plenty, personally, when they're protesting during a football game, I think they can find better places, but they cannot do it during the national anthem.
They're disrespecting, and when I say they, in a way it is they because they can stop it. They have rules for everything. You can't dance in the end zone. You can't wear the pink socks relative to breast cancer, which one of the places. They have rules for everything. Why aren't they honoring this country by enforcing a rule that's been in existence for a long time? I think they're afraid of their players, you want to know the truth, and I think it's disgraceful. And they've got to be tough, and they've got to be smart because you look at the ratings are going way down. The stadiums are I've seen a couple of stadiums over the last few weeks. They are losing. There are a lot of empty seats. I couldn't even believe it. But when it comes to the respect of our nation, when it comes to the respect of our anthem and our flag, they have no choice.
I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I'm probably going to, we actually have a plan. I don't want to say it, but we're going to know how people feel by Monday. NFL ticket sales, Washington Examiner reports, are in a free fall right now, according to a major online ticket reseller, and that's TickPick. I never heard of TickPick myself, but anyway, they're saying that their sales have dropped 18%, far more than usual in terms of week 3, in terms of the season, and it's unfolding. Now you have some NFL stars are now speaking out, saying that they don't like the anthem protests. From the Tennessean, for example. Now it sounds like some of the NFL's millionaire anthem protesters don't understand who pays their salary because, don't come to the game. That's the message a couple of Tennessee Titans star players have for any outraged fans. I have no problem making this country a more perfect union. None at all. As a matter of fact, I want that to happen. But, what people aren't considering here is the customer, the people that go to the games, and what that flag means to them, that anthem means to them, the knowledge of the history and the understanding of what it means, that how many people have fought, bled, and died fighting for that flag. Joining us now, Reverend Oliver White. He's with the Grace Community United Church. Reverend C.L. Bryant. He's the creator of the film Runaway Slave and host of the C.L. Bryant Show. I have been a guest on this show, and very proudly so. Billy Vaughn is with us. He's the father of the former Navy SEAL Aaron Vaughn, co-founder of Operation 300, a nonprofit foundation which hosts adventure camps for children who've lost their fathers as a result of their service to their country. And Billy's also the author of the book Betrayed, the shocking true story of Extortion 17, as told by a Navy SEAL's father. Remember, Aaron was one of 30 American servicemen who died on board a helicopter, and it was call sign Extortion 17 when it was shot down in Afghanistan, August 6, 2011. Many who were killed were members of SEAL Team 6. It was the largest loss of military life in a single day since the War on Terror began. Anyway, welcome all of you. Billy, I just think that a lot of people, that what they're not considering here are people like you and your son and all the families of military and the hundreds of thousands of men that have died fighting under this flag and the millions, literally millions of others that were injured fighting under that flag. That doesn't seem to be part of their thinking, but it seems to be a part of the thinking of the American people. And frankly, I think by not thinking about it, not appreciating it, there's a certain disconnect that borders on total, complete selfishness of some people. There's a time and a place. I want this country to be a more perfect union, a better country. I'll listen to anybody's complaints, anybody's ideas about making the country a better place. But this is a moment to honor the military, the ones that give us the ability to play football on Sunday and talk on a radio program or TV program. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, thank you, Sean, for having me today, and I appreciate it very much being on. But it's absolutely not about me. It's about our war fighters. It's about what we stand for. It's about who we are. And that flag represents all of us. It represents all Americans, left, right, whoever we are. And when those war fighters go into battle and wear that flag on their arm, they don't wear Democrat, they don't wear Republican, they wear the American flag. And, yes, those war fighters, and many of them, like you said, who have left it all on the battlefield, they have given these men the right, and others who have come before them, given them the right, just as they've given me the right, to voice my opinions and to protest. But when we stand before the world, when they're seen before the world, and they will not salute, they will not honor the national anthem and the American flag, that's quite a statement. It's quite a statement, and I think it's a result that a lot of these men.
Do you think it's insulting?
Yeah.
Do you think this is insulting to the memory of people like your son?
Oh, absolutely, Sean, for sure. But even also veterans who are still here. I don't know how many veterans that I've spoken with, veterans' families, and I'll tell you what. So far, all the ones I've spoken with feel the same way. And I'll tell you what's happening. There's a lot of people say, I'm not watching any more football. I don't. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Reverend Oliver White, I know you have a different opinion because we had you on the TV show, but I got to be honest. You're listening to Billy Vaughn. He lost his son, and he feels insulted. And I share the insult. And I think that there's a time and a place for everything. And I think that the reaction you're getting from people in the country and the booing and the ticket sales dropping and the ratings dropping is a direct indication that they have more reverence for the sacrifice that went into those that fought under that flag.
Well, first of all, let me express what a pleasure it is to talk to you 2 days in a row. I didn't know we loved each other that much.
I love all my fellow men, even those that are wrong politically.
No.
Well, what's
I want to say personally to Billy Vaughn that what you see is not an indictment against the military. The people who are kneeling are making an expression about what they consider to be an atrocity in our country. And then you have the other side that says, well, you must reverence the flag. But this is a way of protesting. This is a reminder that while we have an issue of war here and there is also the other side. We have issues in our country that have to be addressed. The president...
But you're not addressing the question that Mr. Vaughn brought up. He lost his son. His son fought under the flag. The anthem honors those that fought under the flag.
And so do I.
Okay, but you're not addressing his point. It's insulting to him. It's insulting to the American people.
Let me address this point in the best way.
How about directly? That's the best way.
All right, directly. I'm going to address this point as a pastor. My heart goes out to you. I don't know, and I hope I never find out what it feels like to lose a child even to sickness, to war, to anything. And so my heart goes out to you. I can't feel your pain, but I can certainly share your burden. And that's what I want to say to you, that what we are doing and what I am supporting are, there are issues that are also prevalent in our country. It's not just about the Army. It's about our country. It's about the meaning of our flag, truly and deeply.
I want to give Billy a chance to respond.
Thank you very much, Sean, because I've been wanting to. First of all, Reverend, thank you. And I don't, but let me tell you, sir, I don't want your pity. I'm proud of what my son did. I am proud that he was raised in a home and in an America that was proud of this flag. Our country has never said that we're perfect. We're not a perfect people. We're all sinners saved by grace, sir. And my son was a believer. I'm a believer. And there's never been a country in the history of the world founded on the values of the United States of America. No, sir, we're not perfect. We never will be. But their protests have always been a part of our history. Always, and they probably always will be. But underneath that flag is not the place. And what I can tell you, sir, is this. I am so thankful that the men and the women who serve our armed forces, and who defend us night after night against enemies, do not feel the same way that you do and the same way that you represent do. Thank God for all of us, because I have 6 grandchildren who children, by the way, are fatherless, who are able to sleep in their beds at peace at night, because all men who serve this country do not feel the same way as those who have been so privileged in this country to be able to make and the kind of salaries and get what America has to offer them, and then not appreciate it. And let me just tell you this. I believe many of those men probably who are standing in protest do not realize that they are part of a bigger picture to disrupt our country, a Marxist movement to help take this country down, as we're seeing in thing after thing. And many of them probably are not aware of how they're being used by forces right now at play in our country.
All right, stay right there. We're going to take a break. We'll come back to Reverend Oliver White, Billy Vaughn. We'll check in with our friend Reverend C.L. Bryant as we continue. This is the Sean Hannity Show. All right, as we continue with Reverend Oliver White and Reverend C.L. Bryant, also with us is Billy Vaughn. And Billy lost his son, Aaron Vaughn, who was a serviceman, died on a helicopter, and 30 American servicemen died that day on Extortion 17. He was a part of Navy SEAL Team 6. And I want to give C.L. Bryant a chance to jump in. You've been listening to this, and you know what? I agree with Billy Vaughn. I think it's like a slap in the face to the families.
It absolutely is, Sean, and I had Karen Vaughn on my show yesterday, and you got to come on real soon. But let me say this. There is a liberal design to continue the victimization of yet another generation of black youth, and they are using the hero worship of professional athletes to do it. And in the same time, Sean, what they're trying to do is lower the self-esteem of young white people through white guilt or whatever means you want to call it, and enslave them both to a big government type of attitude. And they're using hero worship to do it. And the lie that they're using is that it takes a village to raise a child. I talked to Karen Vaughn yesterday, and you know what we find out? It takes parents to raise a child. The lie that Hillary Clinton tried to put across and is putting across to black people and to minorities is that it takes a village. Well, Sean, there are people in the village that you don't want anywhere near your child. And I want to thank the Vaughn family for the sacrifice on behalf of a grateful nation that their son, in fact, laid down his life for this country. And it is about the flag. If it was not about the flag, you would not have professional athletes going to England and kneeling down when their national anthem is played and their national flag is being displayed, and then stand up on their feet when God Save the Queen is played. It's insulting, and it is un-American, and I cannot believe that any
Reverend,
would do that.
It's almost to me like spitting in people's faces, not appreciating what they've done. It's insulting to the military. That's what this is about. Reverend White, you want to respond to CL?
Good afternoon, my brother.
Good evening.
You couldn't be more wrong. You talk about the people in the village. There are great black people in the village. If we had all afternoon, I could name a few of them for you. I could tell you about the great stories and the great struggles that they have stood for. And some of those people are athletes. I am so glad that we have found another way to make an expression to all of America that the flag represents us all. Some people would prefer to reverence the flag, and when I was in college, I did not. I did not because I couldn't go in a restaurant restroom unless it said colored only. I couldn't drink from a fountain unless it said colored only. We don't need to go back that far, but the problem still exists today. Things are being said.
Reverend, since you brought it up, I did, too, drink from those colored and white water fountains. I did, too, ride on the back of that bus. But also, my great-grandfather fought in the Spanish-American War. My grandfather, World War I. My father, World War II. I still have their flag that draped their coffin when we buried them. And this is personal to me. You cannot tell me about the great American heroes in the village. No, the people in my village were my parents and my grandparents and the extended family of my church. If that's the village you're talking about, fine. But in 2017 village, there are people we don't want around our children.
All right, I'm going to have to leave it there, not because I want to, just only because we're out of time. Mr. Vaughn, you're always in my thoughts and prayers, sir. And
Thank you, Sean.
we need to remember the sacrifice of all the men, like your son Aaron. Our freedoms are because of people like him. And you're in my thoughts and prayers
Billy.
always.
You got to call me Billy.
Well,
not Mr. Vaughn.
Okay, Billy, Mr. Vaughn. Okay, no, I will honor your wish, sir. All right, CL, thank you. Reverend White, thank you. We'll take a break. We'll come back. A lot more coming up this Friday edition of the Sean Hannity Show. All right, 25 till the top of the hour. Toll-free telephone number this Friday is 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. I want to go back. I want to look at the president and what he said at the United Nations about North Korea, Rocket Man. I've always said there's not a lot of really good options here. Once a country and a madman has nuclear weapons and you marry those weapons to ICBM capability, that means it can hit the continental United States. And there's only so many times you can fire rockets over Japan and threaten Guam and threaten the entire free world and not want to cooperate. And it seems China is making a lot of overtures now that they recognize, at least they're beginning to recognize the significance of all this. So I want to go back to President talking about Rocket Man and Kim Jong-un and North Korea, his comments about the Iranians and terrorism and the Iranian deal, and then James Mattis saying that we're not looking for total annihilation, but we have many options to do so. Let's play this.
No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more. Now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life. It is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime, but would arm, supply, and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about. That's what the United Nations is for. Let's see how they do. It is time for North Korea to realize that the denuclearization is its only acceptable future. It is far past time for the nations of the world to confront another reckless regime, one that speaks openly of mass murder, vowing death to America, destruction to Israel, and ruin for many leaders and nations in this room. The Iranian government masks a corrupt dictatorship behind the false guise of a democracy. It has turned a wealthy country with a rich history and culture into an economically depleted rogue state whose chief exports are violence, bloodshed, and chaos. The longest suffering victims of Iran's leaders are, in fact, its own people. Rather than use its resources to improve Iranian lives, its oil profits go to fund Hezbollah and other terrorists that kill innocent Muslims and attack their peaceful Arab and Israeli neighbors. This wealth, which rightly belongs to Iran's people, also goes to shore up Bashar al-Assad's dictatorship, fuel Yemen's civil war, and undermine peace throughout the entire Middle East. We cannot let a murderous regime continue these destabilizing activities while building dangerous missiles, and we cannot abide by an agreement if it provides cover for the eventual construction of a nuclear program. The Iran deal was one of the worst and most one-sided transactions the United States has ever entered into. Frankly, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States, and I don't think you've heard the last of it, believe me.
We had a small group national security meeting today with the president and the vice president about the latest provocation on the Korean Peninsula. We have many military options, and the president wanted to be briefed on each one of them. We made clear that we have the ability to defend ourselves and our allies, South Korea and Japan, from any attack, and our commitments among the allies are ironclad. Any threat to the United States or its territories, including Guam, or our allies, will be met with a massive military response, a response both effective and overwhelming. Kim Jong-un should take heed of the United Nations Security Council's unified voice. All members unanimously agreed on the threat North Korea poses, and they remain unanimous in their commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, because we are not looking to the total annihilation of a country, namely North Korea. But as I said, we have many options to do so. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, joining us now on our Newsmaker line is Heather Nauert, former Fox colleague and now the State Department spokesperson. And how do you like the new job? I mean, I haven't talked to you since you left, and, you know, I see you on Fox all the time. It's like we're running your press conferences, and, we're all very proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sean. It's been a really busy time. I miss you all at Fox, but I'm loving this job. It is fantastic and such an incredible honor to serve the administration and serve our country.
Yeah. Let's go to what the president said about North Korea. What James Mattis, General Mattis, said about we're not looking for total annihilation, but we do have the options to do it.
You know, look, the president, as you all know, speaks very clearly, and he speaks his mind, and he lets Americans and frankly, the world know exactly how he feels about things. So he made it clear, and that was a little upsetting for some members of the diplomatic community who are perhaps used to kind of talking in circles. So the president made it clear his feelings, and frankly, we have had, despite what's going on with North Korea, the ballistic missile launches and the nuclear testing, we've had success in getting the international community on board. This is not the United States against North Korea. There are a lot of countries who are joining us in our campaign to get the money out of Kim Jong-un's pockets that just go to his illegal weapons programs. So a lot of countries are joining us. So the president's been successful in this, and Secretary Tillerson's right behind him working on this every day.
Yeah, I never knew Rex Tillerson. I looked at his background. I mean, it's very impressive. And some people were saying that he wants to, he's maybe urging the president not to get out of the Iranian deal. Is that true or not true?
Well, look, they're having a good conversation, as is the whole national security community that works with the president, having a good conversation about how exactly this should go down. The president and Secretary Tillerson have said, and they agree on this, that Iran, when the nuclear deal was pulled together, the U.S. government, the Obama administration, failed to look at Iran in totality. We failed to look at all of the bad things that they do around the world, whether it's, harassing our sailors on the water or giving weapons to Hezbollah or disrupting things further in Syria and, frankly, killing U.S. soldiers in Iraq. We know they're responsible for that. The nuke deal failed to look at all the bad things that Iran does and only looked at the nuclear component. So what the president does, and frankly, Secretary Tillerson backs him on this, says we're going to look at the totality of Iran's bad activities. And the whole policy review is still underway, but I think in the end it will take a broader look at it.
Yeah. I guess we get into a situation where, and Bill Clinton, if you remember when he said this is a good deal for the American people and talking about the North Korean deal, it seems like we keep following the same path.
Before I take your questions, I'd like to say just a word about the framework with North Korea that Ambassador Gallucci signed this morning. This is a good deal for the United States. North Korea will freeze and then dismantle its nuclear program. South Korea and our other allies will be better protected. The entire world will be safer as we slow the spread of nuclear weapons. South Korea, with support from Japan and other nations, will bear most of the cost of providing North Korea with fuel to make up for the nuclear energy it is losing. And they will pay for an alternative power system for North Korea that will allow them to produce electricity while making it much harder for them to produce nuclear weapons. The United States and international inspectors will carefully monitor North Korea to make sure it keeps its commitments. Only as it does so will North Korea fully join the community of nations.
So we spend all this money, and we literally end up spending billions of dollars. In the case of the Iranian deal, $150+ billion in American currency, foreign currencies. We're flying it into the mullahs in Iran. And to me, I don't see how blackmailing or appeasing or capitulating to brutal dictatorships or radical Islamists is ever going to end well, because I don't think they could ever be trusted. What do you think?
Well, that certainly didn't work, and that's exactly why the administration is taking a different approach to it. When we look at North Korea and what they're doing. When we look at Iran and what they're doing, we're looking at this in a very clear-eyed, realistic fashion, in a pragmatic fashion, and so we're trying to make those policy adjustments to try to make Americans safer as a result.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back more with Heather Nauert, who is the State Department. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back more with Heather Nauert, State Department spokeswoman, and we'll continue our discussion about the many challenges national security-wise around the world, around the globe. All right, as we continue, Heather Nauert remains with us, State Department spokeswoman. What is the latest on Puerto Rico? I've noticed that the people on the left have been trying to politicize it.
We've undertaken a massive federal mobilization to assist Puerto Rico, including the presence of over 10,000 federal personnel, including 5,000 U.S. military and National Guard personnel, led by a very, very strong and talented three-star general. All appropriate departments of our government, from Homeland Security to Defense, are engaged fully in the disaster and the response and recovery effort. Probably has never been seen for something like this. This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. We're closely coordinated with the territorial and local governments, which are totally and unfortunately unable to handle this catastrophic crisis on their own, just totally unable to. The police and truck drivers are very substantially gone. They're taking care of their families and largely unable to get involved, largely unable to help. Therefore, we're forced to bring in truck drivers, security, and many, many other personnel by the thousands, and we're bringing them onto the island as we speak. We've never seen a situation like this. The electrical grid and other infrastructure were already in very, very poor shape. They were at their life's end prior to the hurricanes, and now virtually everything has been wiped out, and we will have to really start all over again. We're literally starting from scratch. Likewise, we're working closely with the Virgin Islands on the disaster recovery, and that effort is going very, very well. Both governors, I have to tell you, of Puerto Rico and of the Virgin Islands have been extremely good. They are working so hard, but there's nothing left. It's been wiped out. The houses are largely flattened. The roads are washed away. There is no electricity. The plants are gone. They're gone. It's not like, let's send a crew in to fix them. You have to build brand new electric. Sewage systems wiped out. It's never been anything like this. So there remains a lot of work to do, and we will work with the folks that we're working with right now. They're trying very, very hard, I will tell you that, but nobody's ever seen anything like it.
What I understand are the supplies are there, and the challenge and the difficulty has been, in spite of what the media is saying, is just getting people to drive it out to the areas where people need it. In other words, everything's been sent. Is that what you're hearing? Is that what you know?
You know, I've heard something similar as well, and I know that the U.S. government has been making some appeals for truck drivers to show up and assist, which is fantastic. And they're such, good folks. And so if they can get down there, I mean, ideally, perhaps the government would help facilitate that because that's what's needed. I haven't heard of that yet. The State Department isn't involved in Puerto Rico since Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. And so DOD and FEMA have the lead on that one. So we're not as involved, but I have heard some of what you're saying right now.
All right, Heather Nauert, spokesperson for the State Department, and congratulations on your new job. I'm sure it is extremely challenging and long hours and difficult, but you guys are doing amazing, and we're really proud of you. Thanks so much, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean. Hope to talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.
Talk soon. You too.
Coming up next, our final news roundup and information overload hour.
All right, news roundup, information overload hour. Toll-free telephone numbers 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. All right, so many of you have been saying to me, I want to call, I want to get this. Before we get to that, I'll tell you one thing that the mainstream left-wing destroy Trump media will never tell you. So Robert Turner is a police officer. Robert Turner was part of the president's motorcade. President was headed to Air Force One. out of Indiana. The president gets on Air Force One. Anyway, Robert Turner had an accident. Robert Turner was injured. The president hears about it. Now we have some audio. The president would not take off. He wanted to make sure this officer was okay. Gets on the phone with him. We actually have part of that.
Okay. Right. Believe so. I'm not sure. I haven't had the x-ray on it yet. I appreciate it, sir. All right, sir. Okay. All right, thank you, sir. All right, thanks.
You know what's been amazing? I remember when the president was down at Hurricane Harvey, the same thing happened there. I mean, the response, everybody wanted their picture with her. Everybody was happy that he and Melania were there, and all the media could focus in was Melania's shoes. And obviously things have gone pretty well in terms of the president showing compassion in ways that I don't remember other presidents showing, like our last president. I'm not saying the presidents don't care. They obviously care, but it's just you're not going to hear this. You know, right now, you watch CNN and NBC fake news, MSNBC, and all they're trying to push now is the accusation Trump is treating Puerto Rico poorly. He's not treating Puerto Rico poorly. And we've made multiple calls, repeated calls. The only the biggest problem they have is not the food, water, supplies, and materials, because they've been sent and they're there. And the hardest problem they have is they can't get enough drivers to get the food and the water and the supplies out to people. And on top of that, people's homes have been devastated. And now they've sent the military in to do the job. And the military's doing the job. So there is, Trump's opponents were hoping Hurricane Harvey would be a Katrina for him. Hurricane Irma would be a Katrina for him. Puerto Rico would be a Katrina for him. But what we're finding out, I'm looking at an article now here in front of me in the Washington Times. They were hoping for deja vu all over again, and they didn't get it. So it's, Obama, remember he handed the Marines umbrellas to hold for him. Remember the Marine whose, hat Donald Trump picked up not once but twice? Just little subtle differences. And I can tell you in conversations that I have had with people that were around both presidents, not going to mention where they work, you could probably figure it out. And the things that they told me and the differences that exist are night and day. And it's very obvious the presidents that they love, the presidents that show them the greatest respect, and the people that don't show them the greatest respect. And the military and the services, they all universally like Bush and Trump. Universally. And then if you ask them other questions, they're pretty quick to tell you. So there is, they were hoping that this would go badly for the president. And Maria also, now that hit Puerto Rico. And anyway, they're trying to just do anything to make the president look bad. But FEMA was prepared. They had pre-positioned all of the materials like they did in the other hurricanes. It's now in Puerto Rico. Look, you can't, when the electric grid is wiped out, the whole electric grill, it was a Category 5, 200-mile-per-hour winds. When you're wiping out an entire island, you just can't snap your fingers and say, oh, go. Let's just put up an electric grid in 5 days or 10 days. It's never going to happen. Anyway, so they are doing a much better job than anybody had thought. And liberal pundits, don't even want to acknowledge it. And they're just not even telling the truth in some cases. And they're outraged. And they talk about the island's fiscal and budget crisis, and they try to conflate the issues. And that's not what the issue is. The issue is a Category 5. It was a direct hit on Puerto Rico. And now that they have the food, water, medicine, supplies, and everything else, well, guess what? They're beginning to try and get all of these materials, all of these things that all the people are donating to the people that are out there. I got a couple. Let's go some other news here. Did you hear about this NSA leaker, reality winner? She was so stressed from watching Fox News, it made her steal classified documents. Everything in the world is, it's probably my fault. Trump's fault. It's Hannity's fault. It's this person's fault, but it can't possibly be your own fault. You know what the saddest story, though, of the day is? You got some Trump-hating school librarian in Massachusetts refused to accept Dr. Seuss books from the First Lady, Melania Trump, insisting that Dr. Seuss books were racist. How is Cat in the Hat racist? Does anyone want to call in Green Eggs and Ham, Sam I Am, whatever it is? I'm trying to understand what the argument they're saying here. Anyway, to celebrate National Read a Book Day, the First Lady sent out a collection of 10 Dr. Seuss books to one school in each state across the nation. Cat in the Hat, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Wacky Wednesday, Green Eggs and Ham, Oh, the Places You'll Go. I mean, books that probably most of you grew up with. Anyway, she followed in the footsteps. Michelle Obama had done the same thing, and she often read Dr. Seuss books to children, and Hillary Clinton and Barbara Bush and Laura Bush all did the same. Anyway, Liz Phipps Sierro is a librarian at a public school in Cambridge, wrote a letter to the First Lady, which was then published in the Horn Book blog, notifying Mrs. Trump that her school would not be keeping the titles for their collection because they didn't need them. And she seemed to be most offended by the books themselves. Quote, many people are unaware that Dr. Seuss's illustrations are steeped in racist propaganda, caricatures, and harmful stereotypes. And she recommended journal articles, reports, and books for Mrs. Trump to inform her about the systemic racism and oppression in education and literature. Look, I haven't gone back to study, one step, two, whatever it is, one fish, two fish. I didn't go back and study it all, or Cat in the Hat, or Green Eggs and Ham. But does anybody in there remember any incidents of racism in a Dr. Seuss book? If you can tell me, then please let me know. It reminds me, you remember in New York Hospital had gratefully accepted a $100 million gift from the Koch family, the Koch brothers. And then, but the new wing at New York Presbyterian Hospital inspired a bizarre protest, and activist groups went out there complaining where the money had come from. And anyway, they surely, the hospital secretly, they had a total freak out over the Koch brothers' $100 million hospital gift. Well, what are you going to do with $100 million for a hospital? You're going to get the latest, greatest equipment to help save people's lives. Why wouldn't you want the donation? Because you disagree with people just for political reasons? What is the reason? If George Soros donates money, he spends enough money trying to take me out and take other conservatives out and silence conservative voices. Where do you think all these liberal fascist groups get their money from? They're not believers in freedom of speech. They literally want to shut down anybody they don't agree with. What else do we have here? Oh, we have a story today that I did want to share with you. California's now moved its primary date to boost their impact on 2020 in the presidential race. Here's the story. Its California lawmaker wants to ban gas car sales after 2040. France and the United Kingdom are doing it. So is India. One lawmaker in California would like to follow their lead, phase out gasoline, diesel-powered vehicles. Here we go. What are we going to ride? A Prius? I don't even think I can fit in that stupid thing. I never in my life do I want to be in a tin can like that. I have friends of mine, they get older, and I guess they're going through their midlife crisis, and they buy these sports cars, Ferraris, Maseratis, and Porsches, and big muscle cars. I have no interest in them. I think my last 12 cars have been the same car, an Escalade. I trade it in every 3 years. King O'Rourke Cadillac. I just call them. I say, can you bring over a new one? We'll trade it in. And you know what they do? Because I'm a loyal customer, I always know I'm going to get the best deal. I always know that they're going to be there to service my vehicle. And sometimes the owner would call me and say, well, if you wait a month, we have a much better deal coming on that car. And they'll say, do you want to wait a month or not wait a month? How could you not be loyal to a dealership like that? They've been so phenomenal. So my son was buying ices one day, and he just kind of scraped the side of the car. And I called them up. I said, can you fix it? We'll have it done in a day. They fixed it in a day. And he goes, no charge. And if you need, they're just amazing. Now, I know the best part about car buying is you can look it up on your own. You can find out. 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. All right, Chris disagrees with me. He's in Atlanta. News Talk, WSB. What's up, Chris? How are you? Glad you called.
How you doing, Sean?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. A president of the United States does not call grown men sons of bitches. And what would you do, Sean, if your son came home and was sent home by his school because he chose to call another kid who chose not to stand up for the national anthem a son of a bitch? How would you discipline him? And what if your son told you, I just heard the president of the United States call grown men that, Dad?
Yeah, and I know you've never cursed in your home. You're perfect, right?
Your answer. Sir. I just
I'm asking.
I want to know how you would discipline your child.
I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to answer your question. You ready? All right. Yeah. What if somebody spit in the eye of a member of the military in a uniform, say in an airport?
I'm asking you a question.
I'm answering your question. Now follow along. Watch the bouncing ball. Listen closely. I'm answering your question. What if somebody sees a guy in uniform at an airport and spits in his face? Is that guy a son of a bitch?
Is that guy a son of a bitch for spitting in somebody's face?
Yes.
Absolutely is. And he's reacting to that currently happening to him.
Okay.
He has a
now
right
I'm going to
to
answer your
somebody spitting in
question.
his face.
I'm glad you answered that way, because for those people that did fight for this country and those people that appreciate all that fought under that flag, and they see people politicizing the anthem, politicizing the flag, and not honoring the men who fought, bled, and died under that flag, to them, it's not a physical act, but it's like spitting in their face. That's how people feel. And that's why the reaction is as strong as it is. And you may disagree with it. You may not like it. And I love how people are so offended now by words. When I do remember that Donald Trump has pretty much been called every name in the book. And I'll just say one last thing. Results will determine the success of this president. And if he puts 13 million more Americans on food stamps like Obama did, and 8 million more in poverty like Obama did, and if he doubles the national debt like Obama did, then I think he will be judged accordingly. And so what I'm saying to you is you're not getting it. Americans have a fidelity and a sacred honor here, and they know the sacrifice, the cost that went into fighting under that flag. And for them and me, it's like spitting in your face, and it's spitting in the face of the military. That's how I feel about it. Now, I've offered anybody in the NFL that wants to explain, wants to have a town hall, wants to come on this program and talk about these issues, and I'll even work to partner with them in any way they want and to help make this world a better place and to help make this a more perfect union. But I am thankful and grateful of all that has gone into the sacrifice of so many for me to have the right to be on this program every day talking to great Americans like you. I'll give you the last word.
You never answered the question, sir.
Linda, did I answer the question? Because you
no,
could be.
You did not.
Well, okay.
No, you did not.
Linda, did
I repeat the question for you, son?
Okay, I just answered your question. So my answer with my son is, if he was standing up for those that fought, bled, and died, and people were disrespecting that sacred honor, I wouldn't be mad at all.
That's the type of man you are. I totally disagree with you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is that okay? Is that a good answer?
And that's the type of man you are. I'm a totally different type of man.
Well, I got one last question for you.
Oh, so now you got a question.
I got a question for you.
You just told me the type of man you are. I totally disagree with that. You would not discipline your own son
for standing up for the military and the anthem.
That tells a lot about you, sir. Go ahead.
For standing up for the military and standing up for the anthem and standing up for the flag and recognizing all the blood that was shed fighting under that flag, I think it's a natural, visceral reaction to think that people shouldn't insult it. Okay? That's the type of man I am.
Son of a bitch. Thank you for telling me that.
That's the type of man I am. And you never said the word son of a bitch in your life, right?
I asked you specifically. And
I asked you, so you never. Now answer my question. You never said. Let me ask you a question. Do you know how many men fought and died fighting under that flag?
I asked you a question.
Now I'm asking you, do you know how many Americans died fighting under that flag for this country?
Absolutely, I do.
How many? How many?
Question.
How many? You said you know. How many was it?
Now you're getting upset and emotional, Sean.
No, I want to know. You say you know. Yeah, about the military, I absolutely am. How many troops died fighting for this country? Do you even know?
Sir, you're getting emotional.
Do you know? I'm asking you a question. How many Americans died fighting for this country? Do you know?
Sean.
How many Americans died fighting for liberty?
Exactly. You're asking
Answer the question. Answer the question. How many Americans died fighting for this country?
I don't know. Tell me exactly how many Americans died. You tell me.
Checkmate.
Go ahead.
Goodbye. Over 650,000. There's your answer. I've been to Walter Reed. I've been to Bethesda. I've met these families. I have been with these families. I've met the children of slain soldiers. I've met the widows of slain soldiers. And let me tell you something. The price that they have paid for all of us is massive. Massive. And I honor and respect them, and I want us as a country to honor and respect these brave men and women. That's my opinion. There's a time and place for everything. I'm all for making this a more perfect union. I'll help any way I can. You know, in light of everything that's gone on this week with the NFL, no idea what to expect this weekend. You know, there's a song that we have played before in the program. I want to play it again. It was written by an Iraq war veteran. Sean Niquette is his name. And it was written through the Nashville nonprofit Operation Song. And you just go to operationsong.org. It pairs hit songwriters with veterans and their families and helps them connect through music. It's a really cool thing. And sometimes for all these guys that have PTSD and all sorts of even physical injuries, you know, getting them involved and passionate about anything has a very therapeutic impact on their lives. Anyway, he wrote the song, Sean did, about his friend, Army Captain Andrew M. Peterson Keel of Miami. This person died at the age of 28 in Afghanistan.
Video is broadcast on LSL. Video is broadcast on LSL podcast channel. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel.
Let not your heart be troubled. You are listening to the Sean Hannity Radio Show podcast. All right, so I have insomnia, but I've never slept better. And what's changed? Just a pillow. It's had such a positive impact on my life. And, of course, I'm talking about MyPillow. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep longer, and now you can, too. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Use the promo code Hannity, and Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, has the special 4-pack. Now, you get 40% off 2 MyPillow Premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Now, MyPillow is made here in the USA, has a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com right now or call 800-919-6090, promo code Hannity, to get Mike Lindell's special 4-pack offer. You get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for 40% off, and that means once those pillows arrive, you start getting the kind of peaceful and restful and comfortable and deep healing and recuperative sleep that you've been craving and you certainly deserve. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity. You will love this pillow. All right, glad you're with us. Happy Friday. Write down our toll-free telephone number. It's 800-941-SEAN. If you want to be a part of this extravaganza, I want to start the week with a big thank you to everybody. I don't want to get too inside baseball, but there are times, and I actually think this fits into the whole issue of the anthem and the flag and what's going on in the NFL and taking a knee and locking arms. And you know, it's like they don't understand their customers in the NFL anymore. And if the left, which never loved football in any way, shape, manner, or form, now they're embracing it so warmly because they think it advances their cause, which is, you know, that America is a horrible, evil, unjust place. America is not perfect. Nobody's going to say America is perfect. And I think I've quoted every day this week, and I'll do it again because it's worth doing very far. But no country in the history of man has accumulated more power and abused it less than this country. No country has accumulated more power and used it to advance the human condition and stand up against evil and goodness than the United States. None of us are perfect. I don't know where this notion, like liberals always take glee if there's a conservative that has some failing, you know, of some kind. If a conservative gets mad, if a conservative vapes, if a conservative drinks a beer, you know, it's like they're happy. Or if a prominent minister is caught in some type of sexual affair or whatever it happens, it's like they're happy. I don't know any perfect people. I start with myself. I mean, I know every truth about myself, every single failure that I have. And probably in life, nobody's harder on myself than me. But anyway, I wanted to start out because, and I didn't bring this really a lot to your attention. At the start of the week when we were moving on Fox to my new time slot, which was my old time slot, and bringing to my new time slot again, but there were people in the media so ready for me to fail. They had, the stories were pre-written. They wanted the show, my show, like they've always wanted, to fail. You know, and because of all of your support, It's been a massive, successful week. And I just want to say thank you because I'm humbled by it. I'm appreciative to it. I appreciate all the people that came on last night. By the way, I told you Rush was in the zone. He was amazing last night. And behind the scenes, we just had a really, really good time. And, I didn't tell you this. Rush gave me an iPhone during the election cycle. Well, he stood outside the NFL headquarters, which is in New York City, earlier this week to paint his latest piece entitled Don't Do It. And the painting was a hand holding a lit match to a folded American flag, and the hand featured an NFL logo on its wrist. And, Scott, like a lot of us, are just sick of the NFL and players disrespecting the flag and those that fought and bled and the many that died fighting under that flag.
Everybody is yelling at me, telling me this whole free speech, First Amendment thing. Nobody knows the First Amendment and free speech more than me. I protested over 100 times over the last few decades. I have plenty of arrests underneath my belt. Why have I been arrested? Expressing myself. Free speech. Because I stepped over a line. Knowingly, okay? There is a time and a place for free speech. We are a free nation, but we are a nation of rules and laws. If I work at McDonald's, I'm at the counter, and I got a line of people coming in to spend money at McDonald's, and I start preaching my political rhetoric or my beliefs, my ass is out the door in a split second. It's the same concept. NFL, Mr. Goodell, you have the laws already on the books, the rules. Push them. Straighten them out. You stand for the national anthem. After the game, you go out in the parking lot, and you can do whatever the hell you want. And I'll even be out there. Me, Scott Lebedo, even if they're out there stepping on a flag. It makes me sick to my stomach, but it happens to be their right. There's a place and a time, and that's the issue here.
I was looking at this. Number one, your ability to paint is just amazing. The quality of that painting is amazing. Tell us what inspired you to do this, and did anyone from the NFL try and kick you out?
Sean, I've been painting American flags and pro-American themes for the last 25 years, fighting political correctness, warning people that it would come down the road to this point. And here we are. It disgusts me. Am I a veteran? Did I ever serve? Never. What I do...
By the way, 98% of Americans have never served. It's a fact that very few people know.
I know, but people ask me, like, well, why are you so patriotic? And because I have the right to protest and express myself. But, big but here, there are lines, rules, and laws. I've been arrested in some of my protests that I've done throughout these years, pro-American protests. Why? Because I stepped over that free speech line. I knew I was, because there's a place and a space and a time. And this is the point I've been trying to bring up since Kaepernick. Do you remember the woman in Home Depot in Staten Island who wore the hat, America was never great? It was a big story.
Yeah.
That woman, her bosses said, you take the hat off, you wear it outside on your own time, or you're fired. It's the same exact thing I'm trying to say here. Everyone's yelling at me because I am a protester, an activist, and an artist. Scott, you should be the first one standing up for the First Amendment right. I absolutely do. But outside the arena, after the game, go outside, stand up for that national anthem. Because when you desecrate the flag, when you disrespect it, the only people you're getting attention from and hurting are the men and women who sacrifice so you can protest. And it just drives me up the wall. So I went up there and I made a beautiful point. Again, it's a very, very ugly image. He's not actually burning that folded flag, but he's attempting to. It's coming close to that. And the only one that has a way to stop this is Goodell himself. He has to just push the law that already is pretty. I think there's a law in the books that's rules that, doesn't it? That states.
I've read it many times. I've read it many times. They're supposed to be out there in time for the anthem. They're supposed to stand at attention. They're supposed to be quiet. They're supposed to put their helmet in their left hand. And it's just like they can't twerk, and just like they can't yell at the ref or curse at other players or celebrate in the end zone or do a bow and arrow, imaginary shooting.
We're repeating ourselves, too. I mean, everyone knows this, but, certain media outlets and groups are not talking about it. Remember when the Dallas 5 was slain and Dallas Cowboys wanted to wear a little sticker? No good. 9/11 they wanted to represent. No good. There are rules and regulations. Why is it the flag? Why can I not burn a big wheel? on a street without getting arrested, because I will, for arson. But why can you burn a flag on the street? It doesn't make sense. Arson is arson. If you want to burn the flag in public and your private property, maybe I could pass for that. But in public, if I burn a can of paint and protest, I will be arrested for arson. Why the flag? Why? It's the same thing. Fire is fire. It's dangerous. It's going to burn somebody no matter what. Why is it just pains me. It pains me. Again, as a civilian, I paint these flags. I raise money for these veterans. I help them with their causes. I meet them. Nobody's met more veterans across this country than me. And it hurts them more than anybody else. You know, a lot of them say, a lot of the young veterans, my friends, Scott, I disagree with you. I fought for that guy to kneel. Absolutely, I tell him. But to kneel on his own time. Kneel, desecrate that flag outside your arena. It's that simple, and this could be fixed overnight. And I know you're not a boycott guy. I know you're not. I think in your heart you are, but I don't think you're saying it, Sean.
Listen, listen. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how I feel, and it's not a boycott. I'm not telling other people. I never tell other people what to do. My interest right now in the NFL is like zero. I'm just not into it. And look, I can't. It's for me. It's like wow. Let me give you an example. Now this could work in radio because it could be a shtick, but if you come on the air and all you want to do, there have been talk show hosts that failed in this business. This is a tough business. And they fail and they come off and they blame the audience because all they want is that right-wing crap and all they want, they only listen to those people that tell them what they want. No. How about they didn't do their job? If you go to any restaurant and somebody doesn't serve you well, what do? You say, let's go. Get the service going, please. You start out nicely and then more nice. And then finally, maybe you don't give the person a tip. You know what? We all have customers here. And when you think of the sacrifice, how much money it costs a family of four to go to an NFL game, on average, it's $100 a ticket. All right, $400 in the door. If you're in New York and you go to MetLife Stadium, it's, another $50 parking. You buy a beer. What is a beer? $15. You buy 3 beers, 4 beers. All right, now you're really racking up the bills. And then a few hot dogs and maybe a cheesesteak, and then your kids want a jersey. You're not getting out of there $700-800 later, and you've seen the game. It's a big sacrifice for people. They love it.
Yes, and
they don't want to. They don't want to be insulted. They are the NFL's customers. And I'm telling you, the most telling side of this.
Look, I'm a NASCAR fan. I've always been.
Well, NASCAR, look at what NASCAR did.
I do not make sense. I am an oxymoron. I am a conservative, pro-American, pro-military artist in New York City who also happens to be a NASCAR fan. I don't belong here, but I'm never leaving here because I keep the balance with the other side. The art world hates my guts. They know me. They despise me. This goes back to, here you go again. Discrimination. I am discriminated in the most open-minded organization, the art world, because I'm a Republican and I'm pro-American and I'm from Staten Island and I don't pronounce my R's properly. So I'm not supposed to be.
No, you know what, though? I love your paintings. I think you're enormously talented. And I just got to tell you something. I'm glad you did this. And I think it's...
Well, I'll be back on Monday with another one. I'm doing another one on Monday.
Wow.
And it's going to be a doozy. This one might get me thrown off the property. I mean, I set up my easel on the street, right in front. I know how to do this. I've been protesting for a long time. Right there on the sidewalk, because I'm not selling, I'm not soliciting. I'm just set up my easel. I might paint a skyscraper. Well, I felt like painting this. So next week I'll be back again to express myself the way I do. Everybody has their way. You have your way on the radio. Everyone has a different way, and I think everybody should just keep doing it. Put the pressure on.
Well, the last thing is if I could paint, I'd paint, but I can't paint. So there you go. All right, thank you so much.
I'm not a good speaker. You do your thing, I'll do mine.
I think you're actually pretty good. All right, Scott Lebedo, thank you so much for being with us. Going to wrap things up for today. Tom Price resigns. We'll have the latest on that. Again, thank you for an amazing week. And we have so many great surprises next week. I mean, 1, 2, 3 confirmed surprises next week. Anyway, so I hope you'll tune in. Tonight on Hannity, you do not want to miss this debate. Burgess Owens is going to be debating Spencer Tillman. And I, of all the people we've had on this week on radio, they have been the most passionate, one on each side, talking about the NFL. So we'll get to that. Also, part 2 of my interview with Rush Limbaugh. Amazing. We're going to talk about a lot of things with the deep state and much more. So Rush Limbaugh's on tonight. Also, Eric Trump. 9 Eastern, Hannity, Fox News, our new time, and we hope you'll join us back here on Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tonight at 9 back here on Monday.